there is a world where I'm 100% wrong, and Mermail is actually a top contending Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and I'm all here for it. In case you guys didn't know, in my Yu-Gi-Oh tier list, I said Mermail is in a really bad spot. With the banning of both Bahamut Shard and Abyss Dweller, there's no easy access to be able to use monsters like Atlantean Dragoons to be able to search cards. This in turn also makes Mermail's opening combos a lot worse, or so I thought. Through some serious testing, I actually figured out a 1-card combo that makes Mermail insane. And in today's video, not only will I be sharing with you that 1-card combo post the April ban list, I'll also be showing you some deck profile and some other cool tips and tricks that you can be using. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually got a Sonic shirt on, so it's an amazing day for Sonic Do. Do 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 do. I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. So right before I show you this really cool combo, you're probably gonna wonder, where exactly did I get the sleeves? Where exactly did I get the mat? In case you guys didn't know, you can get your mats from TheCaliEffect.com. They are phenomenal, and I just got a new stock of mats that are going to be here very, very soon. There's also the people that want to know, where do you get the sleeves from? Well, these are my own brand of sleeves that you can get from the same website called Ravenwing. Right now, I'm working on the next and final version of these sleeves, so we're going to be discounting these current ones, but overall, they are the #1 sleeves in the entire world. But let me show you this combo. All right, big dogs, every single Mermail combo pretty much starts off with Nephthys, the Atlantean Prince. This is probably one of the most busted cards in the entire game, and it's probably the big reason why this deck can still be very competitive. It's incredibly hard to hand trap and really, really hard to stop. Throughout this combo, I'm going to be showing you a couple of choke points that your opponent could hit, and I can show you how you could possibly avoid that combo pretty much by just having a bigger hand. So basically what you're going to do is start off by activating your Nephthys Atlantean Prince, and then you're going to send Atlantean Dragoons from your deck to the graveyard. Now, it's almost inconsequential that you add with Nephthys, mainly because if your opponent does infinite impermanence this, if you have Abyss Ryan in your hand already, or a way to get to it, which there's several ways to get into this card, it's still the exact same full combo. But with the effect of Nephthys, we're going to add the Abyss Ryan to our hand, and then we're going to activate the effect of Dragoons, and we're actually going to add Deep Sea Minstrel right here. If you just so happen to have any other water monster in your hand, which this deck does play a lot, it's actually 100% safe to activate the Minstrel and then look at your opponent's hand, assess the hand traps that they have. If it's an Nibiru to Primal Being or something like that, obviously you get rid of it, and in this combo you can actually take that card too, but I'm going to keep on going. From here, you're going to activate Abyss Shrine to be able to tribute off the Nephthys, to then be able to special summon your monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to be the Super Ancient Deep Sea Coalcath. Keep in mind, if you have another water monster, you can already snipe with the Minstrel, which means that you already know your opponent's playline. If they have any other interruptions, obviously we're going for different combos. Prince then summons back the Dragoons to our side of the field, and then we'll activate the Super Ancient Deep Sea Coalcath. In this particular situation, since it's just a 1-card combo, I'm going to discard the Minstrel, and then I'm going to go ahead and special summon out the Gluttonous Raptimus, and then I'm going to special summon 2 more copies of Abyss Spike from my deck to my side of the field. From here, I'm going to synchro summon with my Gluttonous and my Mermail Abyss Spike into my Deep Sea Prima Donna. Now, Prima Donna is actually a really cool card. It has an effect that you can target one of your opponent's banished cards, add it to your hand, or special summon one level 4 water monster from your deck. So the cool thing about this combo is that since we searched our Minstrel in the opening portions of our combo, we can actually use that to snipe a card like Infinite Impermanence, and then use Prima Donna to be able to get the Infinite Impermanence or whatever hand trap may it be to our hand. So we actually got the plus off of that. And then also, as you notice, there's 5 water monsters into the graveyard. So if you did have your Molten Glacia, you actually make the combo even stronger. You can even hand loop your opponent as a part of this combo, which I thought was really cool. From here, you're going to synchro summon into the Prima Donna, and then you're actually going to Exceed summon with the Mermail Abyss Pike and the Dragoon. So here is where my copium may have actually paid off. When the ban list came out, we actually spent quite a significant amount of time looking for an Exceed monster that can trigger Atlantean Dragoon's effect. And I actually found it to be Magic Key Spirit Verpatru. And what this card does is that it can detach 1 material when it's summoned to be able to add any normal monster from your deck to your hand. Now, of course, you're going to have to play a normal monster, but in this particular deck, it almost doesn't matter because this being a water monster means that it can be easily discarded from your hand to the graveyard. Also, because it's a fish monster, you can special summon it with Abyss Keeper, and then you can use Abyss Keeper to banish cards on the field. But then even more importantly, it doesn't matter if you draw the Mambo and discard it. Magic Key Vapatu can add from the deck or graveyard to the hand, which I thought was really cool. We'll now trigger the effect of Dragoons again to be able to add our Mermail Shadow Squad to our hand, and then we're going to start Exceed summoning. We're going to use both our level 7 monsters to be able to make Abyss Trite the Atlantean Spirit, and then immediately our Abyss Trite the Atlantean Spirit special summons back our Mermail Abyss Pike. Pike will then trigger, and I like to discard the Mambo here because I'm slow and I need to be able to keep track of my card effects. You're going to add any level 3 to your hand. To be honest, it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to add the Abyss Shrine again. And then from here, you're going to use the Abyss Rite, detaching 1 material, and that effect will allow you to be able to set the Abyss Steam to your side of the field. From here, you're going to use the Abyss Rite for another Exceed summon into your Poseidra, and now your Poseidra plus your Magic Key Vapatu will be used for a link summon. Now, you're actually going to technically link down into what's considered a weaker monster, but Marine's Coral Anemone will come up. From here, we're going to trigger out the effect of our Poseidra. This card allows us to be able to discard 1 card from our hand. Here's our requirement: to special summon 3 level 3 monsters from our graveyard to our side of the field. With this particular situation, we'll summon out the Glut. We'll then go ahead and summon out the Deep Sea Minstrel, and then our last card we will summon out will be that Abyss Rite. But another cool thing about this effect is that we did discard our Mermail Shadow Squad, so we can special summon another monster from our deck to our side of the field. Now, you could summon a monster like Abyss Rite or Mermail Abyss Pike to your side of the field. You can even summon another Nephthys. There's some pretty cool combos with that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and summon out another Shadow Squad this time. From here, we will synchro summon with our Deep Sea Minstrel, our Shadow Squad, and our Atlantean monster. If you happen to hand loop your opponent with like Bowling Glacia and also the Deep Sea Minstrel, you can go even further by summoning Trish here and getting rid of another one of their cards, plus a card that you sent to the graveyard. But I actually like to be able to synchro summon into the Ravenous Crocosaur because this card allows us to be able to draw any 2, well, not any 2 cards, but allows us to be able to draw 2 cards from our decks to our hand. Let's go ahead and place 2 cards here, and then we are going to use the effect of our Glut. Our Glut can go ahead and special summon back that Shadow Squad to our side of the field, which I thought was pretty cool. From here, we can use our Shadow Squad's effect. We'll discard the Abyss Shrine to make everything level 7, and then we'll use these 2 monsters for an Exceed summon into our Mermail Abyss Gaios. Now, we can also use the effect of Marine's Coral Anemone, and this is where I'm having a little bit of a problem here. You can special summon any 1 monster like Nephthys to your side of the field, but I haven't really found a use for that. That's where I'm probably going to need you guys' help to help me here and figure out what could this actually do. Maybe I'm missing something a part of the sequence. But anyways, you can use Glut to be able to summon out your Nephthys or any other monster to your side of the field, and then you can then finish off by using both the Gluttonous and the Marine's Coral Anemone into the last link summon into your Mermail King. So in this particular situation, keep in mind, I did this with 1 card, which means that you actually have 6 cards in your entire hand. But it actually gets a little bit deeper than that. This is an Aqua, this is a Sea Serpent, and this is a Fish monster. So I can actually use the effect of Abyss Steam to be able to draw 3 more cards. Talk about some deep draw here. This is going to be 9 cards in my hand when my opponent's turn starts, and we also have the ability of Ravenous to be able to destroy 2 cards on the field, which means that if I am discarding the effect of an Atlantean Infantry, I can destroy an additional card. I did trigger the effect of a water monster, so this effect will pop off. If you decide to play it, you can place the Abyss Scale Misazushi here, which I think is incredibly strong, being able to negate a water monster. You also still have the effect of Gaios to be able to detach to negate your opponent's monsters on the field, and then trigger Gaios' effect. My apologies, triggered a Shadow Squad effect, which can summon the Abyss Pike, and Abyss Pike can discard a card from your hand, which could be another copy of Heavy Infantry. In this particular deck, I play 2 for that reason, and destroy another card. So as you can see, this deck has a ton, and I mean a ton of clapback, a ton of ability to just be able to disrupt a lot, draw a lot, and go deep dive into the combo. Is it double totally awesome negate plus the cool board? No, unfortunately. But with this amount of resources and a limitless potential, because I'm pretty sure you guys can add on to this combo or make your own variation, I think that Mermail might be a little bit stronger than I originally gave it credit. Now, are there more combos? Oh, heck yes, there is. I've been playing Mermail since they came out in about 2012, and one thing that I do know about Mermail players is that they're resilient. They can come back no matter how big the tide is, and while they don't follow the wave, they make them, pun intended. Or I should just say puns intended, right? I'm not saying this is the next YCS winning version of Mermail. If anything, I just showed you some combos that actually require you to play some bricks, which you don't really always have to play. I just wanted to show you the potential upside for this deck and how it can still check through hand traps in a format where I think it's going to be dominated by hand traps, at least for the beginning of the format. But you're probably wondering what exactly is the sauce, and don't worry, TheCaliEffect got you. The only thing that I ask for you guys is to comment down below in the comment section, how strong do you think Mermail is, considering that Mermail actually does have a pretty strong opening, and then there's still the hand loop and other combos that you can make with this deck. How powerful is this deck, and did I underestimate it? And then of course, always like this video and share it with a water lover or even a water hater if you want to piss them off and let them know that this deck is still here. Let's get to the deck profile. Okay, big dogs, so the starters for this deck is 3 copies of Atlantean Prince, 3 copies of Abyss, 3 copies of Abyss Pike, and 1 1-for-1. Now, the common rule for any Yu-Gi-Oh deck is to play as many starters as possible, and also make sure that those starters don't conflict with one another. I think that it's really important that while this water deck may play more than the conventional number of normal summons, if you count Pike as a normal summon and Neptuvus as a normal summon, you're playing 6. The thing about this is that they're interchangeable, and more often than not, you're going to summon the Neptuvus and it's going to get you way more value and allow you to be able to use your Mermail Pike for other things. The next crazy thing is that while Abyss and Mermail Abyss Pike don't directly lead you into your Neptuvus, they get you into cards that lead you into this deck, and that's what's so cool about this deck. It doesn't really go about the conventional way of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! From there, I complement that with a pretty controversial take. There's 3 copies of Poseidra, the Storming Atlantean. This card is one of the best board breakers in the entire deck, but more importantly, it plays that pseudo role that Abyss Megalo did back in the old days, 2012, 2013, while being a body to be able to trigger off your effects of Atlantean Dragoons because you don't have monsters that can do that as easily, and your Shadow Squad. I thought that it was really important to bump up Poseidra to boost consistency. Lastly, I do finish up the deck with 3 copies of Abyss Shrine, and I think that these are some of the mandatory cards from the deck. These are the must plays, and in most builds, you're going to find them at exactly this number, for the exception of Abyss Pike and Poseidra. Those cards, players like to mess around with the numbers. But the reason why I went with this is because water cards in this deck is water cards. Not only can I boost the consistency, drawing multiple copies of this card mean they're just discard fodder for some of your other important waters to repel your effects. And speaking of discard outlets, a lot of people play 1 copy of Atlantean Infantry. I'm probably going to die on this ship. I'm going to play 2. I think that this is singularly one of the most busted cards in Mermail's arsenal. The ability to destroy cards on the field and not be once per turn. If I'm being so real with you, I would play 3 copies of this card if I could find the room. I'm not lying. Now, the only controversial thing here is probably the 2nd copy of Atlantean Infantry, but allow me to get really controversial with this deck. I don't think that Molten Glacier will be here for long, mainly because Molten Glacier was really important because we had a way to control and filter through multiple Dragoons in a turn. That's not as possible. I think that a lot of times this card will come up as a brick and eventually players will drop it. I think that Super Ancient DC Colcanth is a non-cuttable card because it can summon monsters like Glutinous Reptilian Greethus to your side of the field. And I'm greedy, so I love this card. Deep Sea Minstrel and Space Bombo could be considered bricks inside of this deck, but even drawing these cards doesn't mean much. It just means that these are cards that you don't need to search. And lastly, I do play the Abyss Steam and the Abyss Scale Mizushi. To be honest, you can cut both of these cards from the deck. They're not necessary. They do add bricks to the deck, and I think the trade-off is worth it if you pop them off, but you're gonna have to assess whether that risk-reward ratio is worth it for you. And my final build, I'll probably get tired of seeing them in competitive matches and cut them. Now, as you can see, Mermail is pretty cheap from top to bottom. There really isn't an expensive card. I even went out of the way to get the PCRs instead of playing my ultis and stuff to kind of symbolize that. Don't look at the QCRs. I just didn't change them out. But here's where the deck can get expensive. I'm running a Tactics Talent, a Called By, and 3 Ash. These should be reasonable, as well as 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Where the deck does get expensive is that you're going to be running Dominus Impulse and Molchemi Perulia / Molchemi Flawless. A lot of players are running Molchemi Flawless alongside of Perulia. The only reason why I didn't incorporate that is because I didn't feel like looking for mine. But hypothetically, if you cannot afford these cards, I don't think that is the end of the world. I actually think that it might be better if you played the deep draw version of this deck that I showed you and swap these cards out with hand traps like Effect Veiler, Nibiru the Primal Being, and so on and so forth. And the reason why is because this deck just drew 5 cards and had 9 cards in the hand. Infinite Impermanence, Ash, Effect Veiler, or Nib, or Ogre, or whatever hand trap you want to find that can be activated may be stronger than these cards. Because if you do go first and you go deep draw, while you can use Dominus, you can't use Perulia. But that's just a really good budget option in case you guys go ahead and use it. Let me show you the extra deck. The extra deck isn't final, but I've been messing around, and I think that this card is absolutely bonkers. Synchro summoning into this card while having your Abyss Rite in your graveyard means that you can do some genuine damage. I think that this is a must play in the deck. There's the Ravenous Crocosaurus, which I think it's droppable if you're not playing the Abyss Stream engine, and then Trishula is really good as a board breaker. There's then Monokero. This card is cuttable too, but I do be summoning that Adamantipator in Prima Donna. For the links, there's Neptibus, Coral Anemone, Abyss Keeper, and Abyss Hoshia. To be honest with you, if you're going to drop the spell card, you can actually just start link summoning into this instead of this. But keep in mind, your opponent can't target water monsters that point to this card, or that it points to. There's then the Gaios, 2 copies of the Poseidra, 1 copy of the Atlantean, and of course just 1 copy of the Magic Key Spirit Varpatu. I think that overall this water deck is a solid starter list. Maybe you can build upon and make it even stronger. I'm excited to see what you have to do with this deck and what you have to say. But overall, it could just be me coping on Mermails yet again. It is one of my favorite decks of all time. One thing I do want to know is, what deck do you want me to do next? Should I do more deck profiles on this channel? Should I talk about more theory and more combos that I come up with? Go ahead, students. Let me know down below in the comment section if that's something that you want to see. But also be sure to check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.